Anytime you start up a company, it is going to take everything from you.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a fair trade, right? You're willing to sacrifice. People should be.
Well, and it's interesting because, we just hit our 5-year mark a month ago. So we're at 5 years, 1 month, which is like that magic weird number for a lot of companies of, you've been around long enough that we now trust that you're going to still be around.
Okay.
But yeah, I can look back at the last 5 years and go, yeah, there's been a couple of those months where it's just like, I could go back and work for somebody else for a few minutes.
Right? Yeah. Just take the holiday off because the calendar says so.
Yeah. It's actually
Right.
a day off, and it's, one of my guys asked me, it was in jest, but joking. He's like, how does it feel being the only guy that can do every job in the company? I was like, kind of sucks sometimes.
Yep.
Don't get that day off.
When I was younger, and I kept this with me the whole time, we were taught, I was for sure, if you don't train somebody to replace yourself, you can't ever get promoted.
Yeah.
So always be teaching other people what you do. And then when a promotion's available, you had a better shot, easier decision.
Yeah. Well, and I had a mentor of mine explain that to me, and he had in very small words, let me explain this to you. You are the best at what you do, but here's the problem. Why would we ever move you out of that position? Like, you've worked yourself into this role that I can't take you out of this now, because it would take too much to get somebody else into that role. So changing that mindset of, if you want to get promoted, you don't want to be the best of the best of the best. Not that you want to do bad, but hey, I want to do well enough that my job gets done. It gets done efficiently, it gets done effectively, good quality, but where's the next person in line? I need to give all my information to them so they can do it, so I can now move on to other things.
Yeah. Right? Otherwise, you're stuck in that job.
Yep.
What is the other way people say it? A victim of your own success?
Yeah. Well, and it's no joke when you're the only one that can do it. Well, guess what? You're the only one that can do it. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be doing just fine there. And the person that should have been taking your job is now going to get promoted past you because, hey, we needed somebody to promote.
That's right. And not unheard of. Yeah. Not common, but not unheard of. And it gets real uncomfortable when if I worked for you and then later on you work for me, it's like, hey, now, what just happened?
And I'm sure you understand this, being an entrepreneur yourself, of just, if you want to build the business, you cannot be the business. You cannot be the one that's doing every single task all the time because, well, it's just you, So if you can never trust somebody else to actually make those decisions, do those things, in my case, teach those classes, whatever it is, then yeah, you're going to be stuck doing all those things for a long time. Or as I like to call it, glorified 1099.
Okay, so when you're, building your own business, right? It's not just training the other people. It has to match up with the growth, the size. How about the finances? All these other things have to come into play.
Yeah.
Right. You may be able to teach somebody to go do that job, but can you afford it?
Yeah.
Should you afford it?
Well, and we're doing a lot of that right now of just, because we're in such a unique niche of the industry, being in training, not that technical services is invaluable or difficult, but it's, I hire, I had 5 guys last year. I have 10 guys this year. Hiring another guy is pretty easy to copy and paste, but with a lot of what we're doing, where there's so many different avenues, just the safety training, the safety and technical training, advanced technical training, OEM specific training, all of those take pretty serious investment. I know a conversation that you and I had a couple of years ago now, but hey, why don't you get into wind? Well, because a turbine's kind of expensive.
Right. Okay.
They're not as just, there's not a whole bunch of people saying, let me go stick this in your backyard for free. So how do you go from the investment side to go and get this? And then, okay, if I'm going to make this investment into getting this new piece of equipment, is there enough business to actually sell that? So I know for us, and looking at other training companies that are out there, most of them are attached to OEMs, right? Manufacturers, because obviously they need to train on their own equipment. So it makes sense to invest for the best of the best of the best with their equipment because that's what they're selling, that's what they're training on. But I work with a lot of different manufacturers. There's no budget in the world that would let me build a top tier quality training center for every manufacturer, unique for every manufacturer. So the challenge being is, what is that acceptable risk to invest money in when it comes to developing content, developing all the hardware?
Fair. I mean, if you're still thinking about wind, I mean, you're right. But I don't know any training companies that just have a turbine to go train other than the OEMs.
Right.
Right. And then they have their, I don't know, GE, we always called it stubby. It was just a short one. Right. So it was easy to get on there and go work on. Well, but there's companies out there that train build and sell simulators.
Right.
And then you can probably get your hands on, busted, unrepairable gearbox or
for
generator.
Sure. Well, and our team is, I mean, it's my team, so of course I'm going to say we're the best of the best. But we build our own simulators. Like, I mean, you've seen our lab, and I would love to do a podcast in our lab. We've talked about that.
I know, we got to make that happen, Jacob.
But all of our simulators are completely from the ground up, designed, custom built from us. We fabricate it, we design it, we talk about it. And not every single one has come to fruition in the way we wanted to, but the ones that have, almost every single one of them, somebody's offered to, like, can I buy that from you?
Yeah.
How much does that cost?
Yeah. Plus, you have collected OEM equipment in your space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, we just got a new one yesterday. Got the SMA SC Up, the utility power Kodiak converter.
Congrats.
Really excited about it. It's one that has a very loving place in my heart, just because I commissioned some of the first ones in the nation.
Oh, cool.
11 years ago. So it's really cool to kind of see that now in our own lab. I got to work on them, get to go play with it and reminisce about the good old days of the field work.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting. All right. So that's, you guys got a few now.
Yeah. So we've got, let's see if I can remember all. We got a Sunny Boy that we just kind of use to show residential inverters. We've got a Sunny Tri-Power, which is another one of SMA's. Most of our equipment is SMA's because of our partnership with them. Mm-hmm. Got the 250U, 630HE11, 500HUS, CPUS, now the Kodiak inverter. So that would be five utility inverters, commercial and a residential, all from SMA. Okay. We have the ABB Ultra, which is a old unit in the industry, but it was a lot of fun to work on, a lot of fun to work around. It has its special place in the industry. Mm-hmm. And we've talked with a couple of their manufacturers about getting some more. And we just got two new units, the Dynapower DPS 500. So smaller DC coupled battery storage converters.
Wow. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So
that's like 7. If you count the
so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh, 10.
10.
Oh my goodness.
Plus we have our custom built tracking trainer. So we got an array. Got a couple of combiner boxes all built from the ground up for, the training environment where you can simulate all the voltages in real time. We've got 3 transformers, so 3 pad mounts, and that's actually, we're going to be launching the next couple of weeks our MVHV course.
MVHV.
Yeah, so medium voltage maintenance, corrective preventative maintenance, how to work on and around transformers safely, how to repair them, how to take oil samples and interpret the data and all that fun stuff. So one of the biggest demands in the industry right now is all the medium voltage. So
maintenance.
Yes.
Okay. So scans, oil,
bayonet fuse replacement, gauge reading, just as simple as gauge reading, transformer alarm troubleshooting. So when all of those gauges actually are now indicating some sort of failure and it trips your unit offline, how do you go about troubleshooting that circuit? So another one of those custom trainers that we built. So we have a fully simulated transformer alarm circuit that we can now simulate faults and troubleshoot in real time.
And just safely accessing it.
Yes.
So I kind of love that you're hitting it right there. And for whatever reason, I've been very close to MVHV repairs here recently in my life. But the maintenance piece, if you're empowering more people to self-perform their own maintenances, I mean, that's a huge amount of the volume of work.
Absolutely. And if you look at subcontractors, so kind of I own a project and I'm deploying guys in the field, and you just have to have subcontractors. But subcontractors for MVHV are hard to come by. There's very few good ones out there that you could really trust. So a friend of ours, Eric's son, that he does it, and talking with him, it's a nightmare to try and get qualified guys in the field, because kind of that being a part of the business, right? You have the skill set, you're out there, you're doing high quality work. Well, now I need to get 5 or 6 guys to do what I do. And it's a challenge. So when you don't have a formal training program, it's hard to just say, hey, Mr. Customer, can I take your site offline so I can go train my guy how to do this? Like, not always the best sell.
Right.
Really pursuing good quality training for teams like that, as well as for ownership that wants to self-perform. It's as the industry has grown, I'm sure you've seen it, transformer issues are abundant. you know, leaks, just damage, shipping damage, all that kind of stuff. And so am I going to spend tens of thousands of dollars to bring a contractor out, or am I going to have a team that self-performs? Either way, need to have guys that know how to work, you know, do the work.
Right. And yes, and they could do it. Yeah. Some training with you guys and their own staff could go and do it. It's amazing though. You send contractors out and I see a difference just on the maintenance. Sometimes it's always two people are going. I've seen other companies, just one guy in his truck and he's trucking along and.
Oh, don't get me started on two guys versus one.
And I kind of watched it and I went, yeah, that's okay. you know, they're just not accessing anything unsafe for gathering the oil samples on the particular units he was doing.
Depends on the units. You
so
can have,
if you have to switch or access.
That's so that's one that's actually come up with a couple of our clients recently is the 2-person rule. When is it required to have 2 people versus 1 person? And one of the devices that is, I swear, the bane of my existence, I call it the "Come Get Me, I'm Dead" device. It's a GPS locator that you wear on your hip and it detects if you fall. It's kind of like I've fallen and I can't get up, so I push the button.
Okay.
But there's some companies out there that are using that to get around having 2 people on site.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that doesn't sound right. That sounds like maybe if you go backpacking solo or something.
Right. Well, it was actually designed for residential and commercial applications when you have people around you already and you're at a relatively low voltage, you know, so a 208 system, a 480 system, something like that. So in comparison to utility, relatively safe. Still more than dangerous enough, but, you know, very different power class. And so if I'm in a control room, isolated, no one's there to get me, I have some way to get paramedics out to me. It was never designed for out in the middle of the desert, 100 miles from anything, you know, transformer blows up in my face.
Yeah. Okay. Don't rely on the "come and get me, I'm dead" device. Is that what you called it?
That's what I call it. And it's a little tongue in cheek, but you know, if you're down in that serious where paramedics need to come out and I mean, you've been on projects all over the nation. If you had to guess what the average response time to your job sites are, you know, probably an hour on a good day.
On a good day.
You know, so if you went to a cardiac arrest due to a shock and
that's if you knew exactly where to go.
Right.
Yeah. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Altair Energy Services, and their highly trained, expert technical staff, leveraging decades of renewable power management experience into customized solutions for everyone to meet their energy goals and contribute to a better future for all. Altair's team of hardworking, respected experts are providing full-scope, turnkey repairs, planned and unplanned maintenance, system upgrades, fully autonomous technical crews, supplemental staffing, and customized dynamic scheduling to fit your power production needs. Contact Altair at info@altairenergyservices.com and learn more about their wide range of capabilities across multiple power technologies and platforms. Okay. So that's not great. 2 people when you're doing any safety-related work is a must.
Is a must.
And I also want to say it's not okay just to be on the phone with a friend.
Exactly.
I've seen some companies doing that. Well, just call into the Rock. There's always somebody there. And if you're on the phone or you call back when you're done, if we don't hear from you in 30 minutes, we'll try and call you.
Yep. Or relying on somebody on the other end of the project. You know, hey, you and I are working together. You go to that side of the project, or go to this side of the project. We get twice the work done, and we're totally together.
Yeah, I didn't think of that one.
Yeah, but it's we've seen a lot of them, and it was an amazing safety team that we were working with, and we were just discussing. And it wasn't because they were trying to do stuff unsafe. They just wanted to best understand the industry. And funny enough, it directly related to my side of the industry. They had hired a trainer, another contractor, and he came in and said, hey, you guys are absolutely safe to work by yourself. And I had to pull out the actual OSHA instruction, OSHA 1910-269, section L, I think it is when it talks about 2 people.
All right.
But anything above 600 volts, mandatory 2 people. And I told this safety team, I was like, any solar site you have, are you ever below 600 volts? You know, all new utility scales, either 1,000 or 1,500 volts. You know, most of the modern day multi-megawatt inverters are above 600 on the AC side, especially if I'm on the medium voltage side. I'm now at, you know, over 10,000 or 34,500, you know. So if you're doing a basic inspection, sure, go by yourself. But as soon as you open up a cabinet door, got to have a second person.
Yeah, right. A basic inspection. A basic, you're just walking around, not touching anything, taking a picture maybe. Right. That could be okay. But you're right. Otherwise, and the solar field is so unique, right? There are no moving parts. There's always energy present. It's a unique space.
Yes, it is a very unique space. And being photovoltaics, you can't turn the sun off.
Yeah.
You know, so even at night, there's still inherent risks.
Moonlight will get you a little. Yeah.
Talking with another good friend of mine in the industry and just talking about safety incidents that we know of just in the last 12 months. Like, we're not even talking the last 10 years, 20 years in the industry, but just in the last 12 months of how many arc flashes there's been, how many hospital trips there's been across the industry. And it's sad because people are getting hurt in general, but it's even worse because they're all preventable. Just basic procedural safety, and you can
share what you know. Maybe I haven't been hearing all of it.
So one of the big ones is out in the PV array, 1500 volt sites, disconnecting module connectors, you know, your standard solar connectors, whether it's MC4 or some other brand name out there, but doing it under load, doing it without appropriate PPE, open it, not expecting that there's a massive arc right there. And if I'm working right here, right at eye level, so there's been quite a few just in the last year of guys getting a pretty significant arc flash right in their face.
Tell me how they end up. Superficial burns, like first degree burns. They're in the hospital overnight. What?
So obviously it depends on the severity, how much current was going through it at the time. But anywhere from, wow, did you see that big shiny flash? And, you know, maybe I get like staring into the suns for a couple of seconds kind of thing, all the way up to loss of vision, and some very few cases, fatalities.
I guess I haven't heard about the fatalities recently.
Yeah, the one that I know of that was relatively recently, I think it was about 2 years ago now, actually. It was actually on the inverter side. But I got to interview the guy that survived, but they were doing an AC breaker replacement, and no training, no understanding. You know, they should not have been doing this work. Like, this was so far out of bounds of what they should have been doing. But they were working above an energized bus. Tool falls down, vaporizes on the line side energized bus of the breaker, and guy took the full brunt of the arc flash.
And that did it.
Yeah. And the guy that survived, basically the only reason he survived is because the guy right in front of him took the brunt of it, and so he got relatively minor burns. But anyways.
So they're working live.
Yeah, working live when they didn't understand or shouldn't have been.
Shouldn't have been.
Yeah. Talking with the guy who did walk away, he didn't even understand that was a potential. And so it's kind of like if I picture in my head, the worst case scenario would be the equivalent to like doing a go-kart versus a NASCAR, car. If I think that the only danger is the equivalent of that go-kart, what are you doing in a NASCAR car? You know what I mean?
Okay, fair.
So if I've only ever worked on relatively small 10 volt, 24 volt circuits, and I think that's what the danger is, you should not be doing this other thing over here. So anyways, there was a lot that went wrong with that one, but it is a lot more common in the industry than you might think.
All right. Go back to square one. Go back to the first step of safety, and just follow Lotto. It's not that complicated.
It's really not. No. And, I think back to my time in the field, and, I've been coming up on 20 years doing field work in some way, shape, or form. And I can think of like those first 5-10 years where I was always in a hurry. To me, being the best meant the fastest. So, well, what can I do to bypass that? What can I do to be faster? It's usually, well, I don't need lockout tagout because I'm the only one here, or I don't need lockout tagout, I don't need the full steps because, that's an extra hour and a half of boring stuff. I want to do the fun stuff. I want to go put my hands on stuff. I'm the guy that likes to touch stuff.
Yep.
It's one of those things of we get ourselves into a hurry and bad things happen.
Yep. You also cannot, unfortunately, if you're new to the industry, just rely on that one human trainer that's with you, right? You need to read it for yourself, follow the procedure step by step. You don't know that human. Like, is this a human that you've spent the last 5 years with, that you built this trust and you know this person, or is it brand new? It's probably brand new. You just started your job. You don't know if that person knows the right way or not. Well, that person might have been trained wrong as well, right? And not know.
And that's one of those things that I see too is it seems to be like a big debate between in classroom versus on the job. And obviously as a company, we do in classroom training, that we're a formal facility. We do everything hands-on in a lab environment, in a safe environment. I would never say that that's the only training that someone should ever get. It needs to be on the job, right? Because there's just no way we can build a training program for every potential design or installation in this country, much less the rest of the world. But when you go to that on-the-job training, even when you come to our classrooms, students should be questioning, how do you know this? How, you said this is the right way to do it. Well, how do you know it's the right way? What document, what instruction, what safety standard are you building this training as a part of? So absolutely, we need to be in the field doing on-the-job training. We need to have formal in-classroom training, but we also need to have a constantly questioning attitude to say, hey, is this actually right? Is this still the most up-to-date information? And as a trainer, we need to be ready to be questioned.
Yes. Oh, you hope to be.
Yeah.
Right? Those are the good students.
Yeah.
It's as simple as, if the energy is not controlled and verified safe by you, just stop.
Yes.
Since I'm talking to you, it's always John that echoes in my head. And if somebody asks you to do something unsafe, call me.
Yes.
It says, call me.
Well, and we've always stood by that, and we still get calls pretty frequently from students of, hey, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm being told, and we're not trying to get managers, or supervisors in trouble or anything along those lines, but just like, hey, when you're in the heat of it, you don't always have access to every single safety standard out there. I'm in the field, I don't have cell signal. Is it 1910 or 1926 for OSHA? Is it 70E or 70B that I'm supposed to be referencing? Is it, hey, I just worked on this tracker system for the last 5 years, and now I'm on a new tracker system that's completely different. It's AC powered versus DC powered or something like that. So there's always room for questions that we need to be able to ask and need to be able to get answers to. So yeah, we always tell our students, call us, let us know, shoot us a text, shoot us an email, give us a call. We will do our very best to get you that answer as quick as we can.
Okay. You said you've been hearing about more injuries, and you did hit the fatality one, but what are the other injuries, and maybe what's common about them here recently that you've
So the big ones seem to be DC health related, working out in the array itself. Oftentimes, at the inverter level, at the transformer level, you generally have better trained people doing those. Whereas the DC health side is typically looked at as kind of a more new to industry type tasking, labor centric, generally a little bit safer. So a lot of pinched fingers, a lot of amputations, not like full arms, but like fingers, getting stuck in tracker motors.
Oh.
And then, arcs working on and around the solar connectors, and I'm making or breaking those connections. And then when they actually do arc, because I didn't do it in the right state, I didn't stop current flow, I didn't isolate my strings, and now I have a lot of power going through this. So yeah, a lot of DC health injuries out there. And then, obviously just working around sharp edges and the, cuts and scrapes. For whatever reason, a lot of young guys don't want to wear PPE, They don't want to wear the cut resistant gloves because they think it makes them less of a man.
That's what they all say, isn't it?
Well, put yourself in your shoes, 20 years ago, you probably thought some of the same things.
I wonder if I did. I don't think I did. The only time that I didn't want them is if there's some sort of dexterity demand, right? A small washer or something like that, but, or sorting wires. But, no, I've been a pretty big glove fan most of my life. There's still a lot of gloves around.
I say that's where Colton gets it from.
Is that right? What was I not great at? I didn't like safety glasses. I'm very picky even about sunglasses, and I used to have to wear glasses before I had the laser surgery. And if the lens is not perfect, it really irritates me. So I was just going through a lot of them, and that's not quite right.
See, safety glasses are the ones that always kind of cracked me up, because I've been wearing glasses since I was in first grade, maybe kindergarten. So for me, glasses are second nature. I've always had them on my face, so switching to safety glasses was never a problem. But it is one of those ones, like hearing protection, safety glasses, hard hat are like the first things to go for a lot of technicians, just because I don't look cool. It doesn't feel comfortable. It's not, you're not wearing a hard hat all day, every day necessarily, or at least you didn't grow up wearing a hard hat. So getting into that habit or building that habit of putting it on is tough for some people. Same thing with hearing protection. Nobody likes stuff inside their ears, the little canal inserts. So When people wear their arc flash suits, in my experience, most of the time it's their hearing protection is the first thing to go.
Yeah, I was not good on hearing protection when I was a tech. You sure regret that one now later at my age. It's the little ringing stuff that comes and goes is irritating, and I know it's my own fault.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm right there with you because I'm not that far behind you age-wise, but when you start getting up there, it's like, oh, I'm hearing that little tinnitus ring a lot more often than I used to.
And now, I mean, it's easy to get good hearing protection. Even those earbuds or earbuds or whatever, that noise canceling, where the Chacon and the power quality doctor would tell you how it's the automatic harmonic filter that does this cool thing. Man, it's really neat though.
Well, but it's funny you bring up Joe Chacon because I know he's got his YouTube series right now talking about engineering controls, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves right now. Is I talk with company after company. And I don't even think it's intentional. Like, it's not they're actively saying this, but they're using PPE as their first line of defense as compared to their last line of defense. And there's so many different resources out there to engineer solutions where I can reduce my arc flash potential. I can, reduce my shock exposure. I can increase the distance at which I do the job. So, hey, it's dangerous over there, but I'm standing over here. And there's so many solutions out there that just aren't being used. And so they use PPE. Yep. And PPE works. It's there. It does the job, but it should never be used as the first line of defense. It should absolutely be, can I eliminate this hazard? Can I substitute this hazard away? Can I develop or utilize an existing engineering control? Can I bring awareness to the hazard and add distance to it? Is there a policy or procedure that procedurally will lower that danger? Then and only then rely on the PPE.
Okay. How do you know if there's a solution out there? Is not an easy thing to answer, and it is not a commonly known piece of information and education. So if you're talking electrical, you bet the power quality doctor is going to tell you if you can or not and how to do it and roughly what it's going to cost. And he's going to do this so fast. It's amazing. But that's him, right?
Yeah.
That's
So where I got started doing that was just assuming I didn't know everything. Take the chip off the shoulder and assume I have no idea what I'm doing. And literally going to the tasks that I've done 1,000 times, right? And I'm sure you've heard this, maybe, your own technicians have said this where, I've done this 100 times, I've done this 1,000 times, I don't need to think about it anymore. It's like, well, that's exactly the job you should be thinking about, and then taking a step back and say, okay, this is how we've been mitigating this hazard. Like, let's just say with, standard electrical hazard, I utilize lockout, tag out, I measure electrically safe, and I use my standard, Hioki, Fluke, Klein, meter, whatever. Reapproach that task and say, let's assume this is the first time I'm ever doing this. Let's assume I don't have a procedure. How would I go about doing this today? Can I eliminate this hazard? Can I substitute this hazard? Is there an engineering control? And when you get to the engineering controls, do some Google research, Go flip out your phone and say, hey, is there a better way of doing this? Is there another meter? I've been using the same meter. It's been my handy dandy meter for 20 years. Is there a better meter? And what you'll find is almost monthly, there's some new device out there that is being developed, invented, or created for, the jobs that we're doing today. I have the benefit because we have new classes every week, or almost every week, that I get to have a whole bunch of new guys that come in from all sorts of backgrounds and say, in oil, we did it this way. Oh, that's actually a really cool idea. That might not completely work for what we do, but hey, maybe we could try this out. Or I have a high voltage background. Here's some tools that we use there. Or I came from wind to solar, or solar to wind, or I came from hydroelectric, or I came from being a Starbucks barista. And this is just what we did to, mitigate thermal hazards. And it's like, that's actually kind of interesting. But these are things that kind of come, it's like, I didn't even know this piece of PPE existed. I didn't know this tool existed. I didn't know this thing existed. And being open to hearing new things. And then when you do find these, I'm not saying every single thing you're going to read about online is the magic tool to make your job easier. But sometimes you got to buy it and try it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around how we would manage that.
Right.
Okay, me or somebody running a power plant, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it has to be maybe a an annual forced function.
Yes.
To say once a year, we're going to sit down and say, here are all the high risk activities where we use PPE. Let's do some research and see what's on the market. Once a year would probably be sufficient.
Yeah.
And if you can make one small improvement,
Yep.
cost effective, didn't break the bank.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know for one of the big ones, and unfortunately, every single piece of tool or PPE that you use, and the higher the voltage, the higher the arc flash danger, it's all expensive. So if I'm going to invest in 20 technicians or 40 technicians or 100 technicians, we're talking some serious numbers.
Yeah.
But when you approach it, and one of the big things with modern day inverters, most of them are above 2 megawatts nowadays. 2 megawatts, 3 megawatts. I know some companies just released like 5 megawatt plus platforms. Like, these are big inverters. Big inverter comes with big danger. And because most sites, when they're being designed, it's cost, so they think cheap. And so they do these arc flash analysis. And I have seen on many, many, many sites in the last couple of years that the arc flash danger is now above 50 cal, 60 cal, 70 cal, 100 cal plus. Well, they make arc flash PPE that goes above, 40 cal. They have 80 cal suits. They have 100 cal suits.
This is a bomb suit.
Big old bomb suits.
Right?
Well, what's fascinating
explosive tech that you say.
Yeah. But I mean, like the huge bomb suits. And they exist. Like, you can get those ones with that. But NFPA does not actually recognize suits above 40 cal because you get to a certain point inside of an electrical cabinet where the arc blast danger is so much, you're not walking away from this, so you get too close. And anyways, why I bring this up is the answer should not be throw extra PPE at it. It's how do we engineer better solutions so that we don't have to stand right there and expose ourselves to that.
Don't wear 2 40 cals.
Yeah, don't. I mean, it might take 3 or 4 at this point in some cases.
I forget what last time Podge was on here, he was saying that, what did he have? It was like 350, 400 cal was the calculation on a piece of equipment. And he compared it to a cruise Scud missile. He goes, so, you have to be wearing something to withstand a missile.
Right.
Right.
Well, and one thing
you have to wear a bunker.
And I think I brought this, the last time I was on the podcast, or maybe it was the time before, but substation switching. I know you've seen substation switching. You've probably done it yourself at some point in your life. You go and see a substation get switched at night. Beautiful arc. I mean, it's scary beautiful. It's kind of one of those things. It's so dangerous. Sure. It's incredible to watch, and feel, because you can like smell the air afterwards. It's an incredible.
Can't feel it. You're right.
Yeah. But I'll ask guys that do that come into class, and it's like, so when you went and switched, you went and climbed that 30-foot pole and ripped that thing open by hand, right? Did you do that when you were switching substations?
No.
No, of course not, because there's no safe PPE.
Yeah.
You'd be vaporized, right? So you get 30 feet away to a point where you can wear an appropriate level of PPE and do it safely. And this happened to me about 12 years ago. But there was a high voltage guy and he was doing switching. And I was standing probably 150 feet back behind my truck as he's doing this. It was a bucket transformer at the top of a power line, and it exploded like you wouldn't believe. I felt it in my chest, like from 150 feet or so away. And he walked away and was like, "Did you just see that? I need to sit down, have a couple of cigarettes."
Yeah.
But he walked away just fine. Now, if he would have been in front of that, he would have been gone easy. But because he was 30 feet away in a 40-calorie suit, the reason why I bring this up is we are now at that same arc flash potential in most of our electrical cabinets on a solar site. But in the high voltage world, it's been understood for a long time. You add distance, and you add the distance first. You add switching mechanisms so that I don't have to be there and do this by hand. Because if I had to, I wouldn't walk away from this thing when it exploded. So we just need to understand that on the solar side now at combiner boxes, at inverters, that, hey, that's the same amount of danger that we're talking about. You can't be doing it 6 inches away.
So, okay, the labels will give you the energy level, calorie level, right? Is it giving you distance?
So it does give you distance.
I thought so.
So you have your arc flash potential. So it has a big number, big scary number on there. Let's say it's, 56 calories. but it'll say what your working distance is. So that 56 calories is at that working distance. So usually about 18 inches or 2 feet, depending on who did the calculation. And then your arc flash boundary is at what point does that become a 1.2 calorie per centimeter squared danger? You know how much, like if I was exposed to 1.2 calories per centimeter squared, do you know about how much danger that would be?
1.2 calories? No, I don't. I don't know how to compare that.
It would be about a sunburn. So,
a sunburn?
Yeah, about a 2nd degree burn, which is going to be uncomfortable.
No, I don't want one of those.
I mean, but you sat on the beach for a little while. Did you die? Probably not. It's uncomfortable for a few days.
Yeah, a rough few days.
Yeah. But that would be like if I'm standing.
Did you die?
But I'm standing butt naked on the arc flash boundary, right there with my toes on the line. Worst case scenario happens, I get a 2nd degree burn. Uncomfortable, but I'm walking away. I'm happy. I'm alive.
I mean, beats the heck out of the spray tans, right? It's quicker, less messy. So you can probably market this.
We should market that. Come stand in your arc flash and bam, you will get tan.
Done.
But it's, why are we doing the work at 6 to 20 inches? Why aren't we doing the work at, 6 to 8 feet or 10 feet or 15 feet or whatever that is? And they make tools. So I actually just got mine delivered today, one of the Teach meters. Might be a brand you've never heard of.
No, never have.
It's a Swedish company. Don't quote me on that. I forget. It's a European company.
Okay.
TIETZSCH. But they make high voltage meters that have significantly longer probes, and they are specifically designed for MVHV applications, but can be used on solid bus. But the one that we just got has 3-foot leads. So solid 3-foot leads that I can now use at my full arm length. So that gives me now maybe anywhere from 4 to 6 feet of distance that I can now stand away. So at my working distance, I might not have an appropriate level of PPE,
but
4, 5, 6 feet, back,
I
can. So outside of like remote testing or remote switching measurement points, that gives me the ability to take those measurements in a safer format. Now, I still have to wear PPE. That's not saying, hey, cool, I'm now 4 feet away, no PPE. No, I'm still wearing that high level of PPE, but I can actually walk away from this arc flash should the worst case scenario happens.
And that's just for testing.
And that's just for testing.
Podge has this. Have you seen this Grace meter or something?
And I'm
you
a
connect
big
it.
fan.
Yeah. And so you put that 20 feet away.
Right.
And you can check it there. Plus you have LED visual. Simple.
It's simple.
Not expensive.
And it's one of those engineering controls is that we can say, hey, instead of starting off at PPE, we can start at, can I eliminate it? Can I substitute it? And in Podge's case, can I engineer a solution that now creates a safer work environment?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the kind of thought-provoking joke questions I asked is like, have a class of students and like, who here goes to the job in the morning saying, you know what really sounds good today? Trip in the ambulance. It's been a while since I've seen the inside of one of those things.
Everyone goes to work thinking that. Right.
Of course we don't think that, but how often do we act like
How could I make this day worse?
Right. I know one that you'll appreciate it. I might have told this analogy on a previous one, but again, I tell students this all the time of, I'm approaching an inverter and I see a big old rattlesnake right there. And he's just rattling away. He's angry. And I just say, shh, we're just going to be really quiet. I'm just going to take a nice step over. And as long as we don't make any sudden movements, we'll be okay. You'd look at me like I was crazy, right? And probably walk the other direction.
That is generally how I walk around rattlesnakes, though. I mean, I spend a lot of time outside. I see plenty of rattlesnakes.
But do you ever work
Mind my
over
business
them?
and it'll be okay.
But do you ever work around them, go and sit with them, kind of cuddle up with them?
So at work, never.
Yeah.
No.
But how often do we do that with electrical hazards?
Apparently too often if we're burning people.
And that's the real problem here is, I'm so star-spangled awesome. Electricity's going to ignore me. I'll just reach over and, connect this lead. I'll just come over here. It's just a quick little thing over here. I don't need to lock it out. I'm only going to be in there for 5 minutes. It'll take me 2 hours to get this lotto run, through the O&M office. Let me just get this done. And so that's there's an angry rattlesnake right here. Let me just go pat him on the head and work around him. Well, it's stupid, right? But how often do we see it in the field, right? And so going back into these common instances, there's a combination of they weren't trained properly to begin with. There's a level of rushing. I don't want to do this. there is a level of complacency. I've done 1,000 connectors. I've done 1,000 tracker systems. So I don't need to lock this, because what are the chances that the wind will catch this, this table right at the moment that I'm sticking my hand in there, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
no one thinks that they'll be the statistic.
You're right. You're right. I mean, I remember just being taught the wrong way. Mm-hmm. Right. We could open cabinet doors,
right,
and stick our hands in there, and without the right PPE, and not could, but should, right. Told to. I just don't understand how that still happens. There's so much information out, and so many companies have to follow a standard where everybody got the correct information once. Mm-hmm. It's just not enough sometimes, is it?
It's not, and you have to be retrained. And I say it all the time, is like, I have not been in the field commissioning units 5, 6 years, 7 years maybe. Now I've commissioned thousands of inverters. I've been on sites all across the U.S., North America, Canada, Mexico. Still well known throughout the industry for the work that I did. But I would not trust me to be the commissioning guy today.
Funny how that happens.
Could I go and learn how to do it again? Absolutely. Could
Sure.
I still go out and get the job done? But there's new equipment, there's new processes, new procedures in that kind of context. And especially when you talk about manufacturer specific, things like new firmware, new software that we use now, new tools that we use now. So the tools that I used 7 years ago in the field are not the ones that we use today in the field. So you have to go and get those reps in. You have to go and see it. You have to go and see that firsthand to kind of get those skill sets. And I think that's a problem too, is that oftentimes, senior guys will think that I don't need to go learn again because I already know all that. That's all year one stuff. I don't need that anymore.
Yeah. Why though?
I mean, I would say probably ego.
Yeah.
I feel like I know everything. But it's interesting where, if I look at kind of all the students that we've had in the last couple of years, hundreds of guys and girls throughout the industry that have come in, and it's usually the new guys that are the most eager to learn because they don't have that chip on their shoulder. I've never done it another way. So I'm now learning it the right way. But I've had a lot of senior technicians that come in and feel like they have, something to prove. And, well, this is the way we've always done it. This is the way I used to do it. So this is, what you're doing must be wrong. And it's like, again, well, show me in an instruction somewhere where that's the right way to do it. Show me a manufacturer's document, a work instruction. Show me an OSHA standard that says this is how we're supposed to do it. And usually they can't.
I wonder if it has to do with something about, like, if it now takes down a psychology rabbit hole, but the type of learning, discipline, and success that the person had earlier in life, right? If you're a person that did really well in school, means you're used to the classroom environment, you know how to take it seriously and excel. And if you were not that great in school, maybe that isn't it, right? Maybe you're one of these hands-on people where I just need to go tear everything apart. Or I can't, I struggle with just reading the book and understanding. I need to hear it, or I need somebody to show me, right? These different types of learning strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, well, there's different kinds of learning methods. You can hear it, you can write it down, you can do it. Like, these are all different methods of teaching and learning, which we do integrate into all of our stuff. And no, I think most of the ones that I see, like I said, are more of the ego of, it's not so much that I don't like the classroom environment or can't learn. It's that you're now contradicting how I thought we were always supposed to do it. And so now I have, well, this manager and mentor of mine told me I was supposed to do it this way. You're telling me that I have to do it this way. Who are you? We don't have that connection yet.
There's like a glass shattering sometimes when that happens. Happens to everybody in life, right? But it's like, when you learn that, it's almost like now you don't know what to believe anymore, right? You believed this person, you trusted that person, it's always worked out. Now somebody's going to say that was wrong. That's tough. Yeah. It's tough to process.
Well, and I think about it too. It's funny. My grandfather, he was a lineman for LADWP, many, many, many years ago. But he retired from LADWP back in the early 90s. I want to say is when he retired. So 30 years ago, he came off the line, but we've talked a lot about electrical safety when he was a lineman versus electrical safety now.
Okay.
And he has a story where one of his foremen, as a young man, how they used to verify overhead lines were dead. They would reach up and grab him and just say, hey, I'm the foreman, you're my crew, I'll reach up and grab it. See, I'm not dead, therefore it's safe. Well, one of his jobs, his lineman grabbed the wrong side and was electrocuted right in front of him.
Oh, man.
So electrical safety's come a long way from there. But if we always make the argument of, well, that's how we used to do it,
Yeah.
Lick 2 fingers and touch the circuit. If I don't get shocked, then I'm good. There's better ways to do it now. There's new instruction. That's why NFPA comes out with a new instruction every 3 years, because it's constantly evolving, constantly changing. So same thing with just troubleshooting. There's different ways to troubleshoot, different ways to measure, different tools and resources. I know they have the like Fluke's ground fault locator that just got released. It's a really cool tool.
Yep.
That did not exist last year.
Right.
So how I troubleshot ground faults last year can now legitimately change.
There's a couple of companies with those now I've seen.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's one of those things, as the solar industry grows, companies recognize, hey, we can make new tools, we can make new meters, we can make new devices.
Mm-hmm.
All of that thing is like, hey, just because we did it wrong yesterday doesn't mean we have to keep doing it wrong tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And be open to that change, be open to the information, and man, yet don't feel a certain way about it.
Right.
Just be happy you learned something new.
Oh, and I tell students all the time, I love being wrong. Like, being wrong, it's so nice. It means I get an opportunity to learn,
That's right. If you're not, then you're probably not learning.
Right.
Right. What's Up Renewables is growing, and we're looking for new sponsors to join us. Our show connects leaders, innovators, and field professionals across the renewable industry, and our sponsors are part of that conversation. Some have seen their network expand instantly. Others have grown revenue and brand visibility through the connections they've made right here. If you want your company to reach the people driving the future of clean energy, now's the time to get involved. Contact us at media@whatsuprenewables.com to become a sponsor today. That's funny. I talked about this before. I'm a visual learner. Mm-hmm. That's why oftentimes, my wife tells me something, and if I was thinking about anything else, it did not stick. It did not stick.
Well, and I think that's also that entrepreneurial mind. You're always got something on the mind. And that's, I've told my wife too, is like, no, you got to make sure I'm actually paying attention, not because I don't want to pay attention to you, not because I don't love you, but I've got 1,000 things going on over here. So make sure I'm looking right at you.
Yeah.
Paying attention. I'm ready.
Yeah. I've told my wife, I should tell her again, you need to remind me to write it down.
Yes.
Like a child. Okay, now write this down.
So back before smartphones were nearly as prevalent, one of my old mentors, he always said, carry it like just a little notepad with you. Mm-hmm. And he's second brain is always smarter than first brain. If you don't write it down, it ain't going to happen. So every morning we go through our plan of the day, and if you weren't writing it down, you'd be like, don't worry, I'll wait. Go ahead and get second brain. Because again, second brain's always better than first brain.
So much of my life, I carried notebooks this size in my pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, like nearly, I'd say 15 years probably of my life carried one of those in my pocket.
Yep.
And then, upgraded to more office. And so it was like a book this size. Like, well, you can have a little more comfortability writing. And now I haven't done it in years because so much of my life is just writing information anyway. Like if I stopped to write down the other little, remember to do this after work, things that I should remember, I just feel like I'd be really exhausted.
Well, sometimes going old fashioned is good. So on my desk at the office, I got little sticky notes.
Yeah.
And it helps because 2 or 3 days later, like, oh, that's right, I was supposed to go get back to that person.
Right? Yeah, I know.
But in a technology age, it is wonderful being able to do voice memos and all that kind of stuff. But there's still something about writing it down in a small notebook.
There is. And it's got to get on the calendar.
Yes.
Otherwise, it does not exist.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Oh, man. You've always got something to teach.
Oh, well.
In like every area.
I should probably get into teaching. It seems like it'd be good for me.
It might be a good fit.
Well, it's one of those things of, who knows, maybe it's because I like the sound of my own voice or something, but I feel like I always take it personally when people get hurt in this industry. I've got very close friends. I've got family in this industry. And so it's very easy when I hear the stories, and I do hear a lot of the stories just because when you run in kind of the safety and training circles, you hear a lot like, hey, this person, this job, this company, this, this region, whatever. And it's hard not to take it personally, when
Yeah.
someone gets hurt. And universally, they're all preventable. It's all, someone, again, who wasn't trained properly, someone who didn't know any better, someone who was rushing. Another one of my favorite things to say is, I'll ask guys, and I'm sure you guys have safety meetings, on a regular basis.
Of course.
Do you guys have a safety manager that says, guys, don't get complacent. Complacency kills? Something along those lines.
That message comes up in often. Sure.
So I hate that line.
Yeah.
I hate that line with a passion.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's a bad line. It's true. It's accurate. But I like to change the thought process around
Never
it.
said alone. You can't say it without context and an actual practice. I mean, what are you talking about?
So everyone here is complacent today, right now, this very second. And so it's not about don't get complacent, because that implies that that's somewhere down the road. Adam, you'll be complacent one day. You may or may not be complacent right now. No, you're complacent right now. And that may or may not be with electrical safety. How many guys do you know that I'll do all of my lockout tagout correctly. I'll verify everything. I'll verify everything twice. I'll have somebody else come in and verify behind me. But then when they drive back to the O&M office, they're on their phone.
Doing a very dangerous task.
Yes, doing a very dangerous task, driving heavy machinery.
Yeah.
So it's not about don't get complacent. It's about being honest with ourselves of how we're complacent today, right now. From the guy that's day one on the job to the oldest head you got on the site, you got to be honest with your complacency.
Well, we've already established I'm past complacency and into the absent-minded kind of bucket, probably. But, I think I hear what you're saying. You can't just say complacent and leave it open-ended. But I think what you can do is saying, here are the tasks at hand. And remember, there are a lot of checks over and over all day. And that kind of repetitive work, it's easy to become complacent.
Absolutely.
So make sure you're just writing it down, just following it step by step, take your time.
Yes.
So that we do give the warnings about, where that can sneak up and get you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And within the scope of a repetitive task, it's very easy to put the blinders on.
Yeah.
I like talking about it, especially in a safety meeting when we're not necessarily talking about a specific task. As a general rule, you're complacent right now. With something, and it's going to be different for everybody. Whether it's driving, whether it's electrical safety, whether it's component replacement safety, lifting techniques, there's many things that people will do stupid things on a job site. And it's about being honest with those things and being willing to get called out, and kind of building that culture around it's okay to call me out in the same way that it's okay for me to call you out.
Sure.
Right? And I know around our office, we almost make it a game of not because we want to get anybody in trouble, but we want to be safe of just like, hey, you're not doing it the right way. And we want to make sure it's everyone's comfortable bringing that up and you're not going to get yelled at. It's like, oh yeah, no, you're right. I'm going to take that. That was my bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Driving and being on the phone irritates and it is amazing how many humans do it.
Oh yeah.
I have to try and keep a little count in my head on average how many cars are not driving safely. And so then I, in my mind, go impaired driver, right? Could just be cell phone, but that'll impair you. I think 1 out of 3.
Probably.
I'm like 1 out of 3.
And that's probably conconservative.
And a few years ago, I would have said 1 out of 5 and 1 out of 3. And I don't even I'll do the talk to text, but I have to hit that screen. I don't even like reaching up and hitting that screen anymore, right? I've kind of gone this other extreme where I don't want to. I like that there's buttons on the steering wheel to change the volume, change the song, answer the phone, and it's right there.
Right.
That I like. And I'm like, oh, I got to hit that dang button. Yeah, because it's man, we're driving fast. And what bothers me is that I could be hit 1 out of every 3rd car. So now I'm really watching. I'm really defensive while I'm driving. And so I'm more nervous about taking my eyes off the road. I know I can keep the vehicle between the lines. I don't know which one might jump the lines.
Yeah. Well, it's going to say, and I could be a perfect driver, but the driver next to me, but even, taking it back to the industry and on the job site, I know a lot of guys that have I'm only going 10 miles an hour on the job site because I got to watch that, dust abatement. So I'm going to go nice and slow. Well, I got about 2 miles to go at 10 miles an hour. So, be on my phone or, not paying attention. It'll happen where you veer off the road. And one that's happened, I don't know how often it happens, but guys that will forget to put the truck in park. You ever had that happen on
I've
one of your
done that.
projects?
Yeah, sure. It happens.
Yep. I'm jumping in and out, kind of the repetitive
Sure.
task thing. And, I forget to put it in park. And all of a sudden my truck is inside of an array somewhere.
Oh boy. I did it at an airport once. Luckily there were other people in. I thought I hit park, it hit reverse. I was gone. I didn't even know what happened. I got back there and like, we had to jump over here and stop this thing. I was like,
My bad.
sorry.
Well, luckily there was another car to stop it, huh?